Back in the 50s and 60s, pheasant hunting reigned supreme in many parts of the Midwest, but especially Iowa. Opening day had a special status as several generations would gather at the family farm or other coveted properties to match wits with the king of the upland birds. These experiences remain with us for a lifetime and become memories from the field. This will be an interview with Pete Clegett, and we're over in Anamosa, Iowa, and we're going to talk about Pete's memories from the field. And we'll start. Pete, how old are you, and where did you grow up?
Right now I'm 80 years old, a little bit past my prime to say the least, and I grew up in the Kansas City and down in the Ozarks.
Okay, and you mentioned Mound City?
Yes.
That's a smaller town north of the Kansas City metropolitan area?
Yeah, north of St. Joe, a little town of Mound City up there, and there's a big federal waterfowl reserve there.
Okay.
Used to be, they changed the name of it to the hills, what are the hills names around there? They changed the name a few years ago of that waterfowl area. That's a federal area. But we were out at Bigelow, which is a little bit west of there. There's a lot of marshland out there type. And we hunted on a small marsh. There was 60 to 80 acres, but then we had crop ground also.
So your dad was really into hunting then? That was one of his passions?
Uh-huh. Yeah, he took me up there at age 9, and I started learning how to call ducks and hunt. And had a wonderful time up there, wonderful experience, and worked out really nice.
So let's talk about the... Your memories are that you kind of started tagging along with your dad to the duck blind when you were 9 or so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What were your duties, I guess, when you were in the duck blind? Did you have chores that they had you doing?
No, I didn't really have to do much anything. Dad figured I was too young to be wading in the marsh, and so I didn't even have any waders or anything like that. But shortly thereafter, he gave up his waders, and I took them over.
Okay. So what was that like when you finally reached that point where you got to actually shoot or hunt?
10 or 11. Well, see, I wasn't allowed to take a loaded gun when I was 9. When I was 10, I could load my gun once I saw something to shoot at. And that's the way I was brought up, and how to teach gun safety and one thing and another.
Sure.
And worked out real nice, and then I started learning how to call ducks, because everybody in our particular duck club, Bigelow Farms, was very, very good duck callers. And if you wanted to get the ducks in, you had to compete against them, more or less. And that's kind of the way I picked it up and went with it.
And now that obviously the duck hunting is seasonal in the sense that the ducks are coming through the flyway, and so they're moving through the area, going farther south. So what's the prime time when the ducks are really on the move through that area?
In that area, we always made it a point to hunt a week or two each side of Thanksgiving, and even spent some Thanksgivings up there with the whole family, and that was quite an experience too.
Now, what was the setup there? Were you in blinds, or were you laying down, or were you in boats?
We had blinds.
Okay.
We had 6 blinds on a marsh, and
that they refer to as pits.
Yeah,
is that kind
it
of
was, a pit type blind.
Okay.
But it was down in the water, and you were assigned blinds, and you could bump blinds and go to the preferred blind as long as nobody else was in it, and it was your turn to go next.
So depending on who had rank in the club, you got kind of whatever.
Well, they were all assigned well before the season. They'd roll the dice and
really
assign the pits.
So were some of the pits considered to be better than others?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
The prime pits, yeah.
So if you weren't in a prime pit, then your ability at calling probably was more important.
Yeah, you had to really work at it, and it depended on the wind direction, naturally.
So do you remember taking that first duck? Do you have any recollection of the first time?
I hate to talk about my first duck. My first duck was a coot, and we were just before we joined this club. I was clear down in a marshy area south of Kansas City, And yeah, my dad finally got it to fly, and it finally flew, and I shot it, and he just went out and looked at it and came back.
It counts, but
but yeah,
nothing to brag about, right?
Nothing to brag about.
But you got that one. You got that first one down.
Yes.
And then obviously there were many, many more ducks to come.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Do you get geese through there too? As well?
Yes. That part of Missouri really does a lot of snow geese when they're coming back north. They follow the snow line up. If you're set up right time, right place, you can get a lot of snows in there. You know.
Now, what's harder to call, geese or ducks?
My motto was, if you'll set up where they want to go, you got her made. You know.
What do you mean by that? Explain that.
In other words, if the geese or the ducks want to come into that blind at that time, and you're in that blind at that time, you got her made.
Okay. Okay.
And the calling helps, but
some of it's nature, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, do you? I assume you guys were putting out putting out decoys and the whole
Yes.
Spreads and all that.
Yeah.
Was there a trick to that, or was there a way that you were taught to do that versus other ways?
Yeah, we'd set up spreads different ways depending on the wind direction. I had kind of my little hankering of which way to set it up, because I like to see those birds come within about 15 feet of the blind and set down, and that was just my thing. I got a thrill out of that.
Yeah, yeah. Some guys would put them out farther out.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So, but it was fun, a lot of fun. We had a good experience up at Bigelow, and then I went on to hunting other places, like I mentioned Glen Elder, Kansas. 50 years ago, a buddy of mine and I were out there hunting, and we shot quail, pheasants. We were hunting over his I don't think it was a lab. I think it was no, it wasn't a lab. Anyway, we were out there and we were shooting quail, pheasant, and we also shot ducks and geese, and we got our limit on quail at the time, which I don't think you can hardly get a limit of quail anymore.
No,
they're kind of hard to come by.
Well, in that part of the country probably, especially,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if you went down
But
far south maybe. But.
And then another place I really enjoyed going hunting in the fall, when I had my fishing camp up in Canada, I'd go to Saskatchewan, and in the fall the snows and speckle bellies, ducks, and all kinds of geese going back south, and we would shoot. Yeah, we shot a lot of them out there.
Yeah.
I mean, you could take 50 a day if you got the right species, and we frequently did.
50 a day.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of upland birds in that area too.
Yes, yeah.
Grouse and probably pheasants and.
Yeah. My part of Ontario that I was in, we hunted a lot of grouse, rough grouse and spruce hens. And I preferred the rough because they're a lighter meated bird, and they were just a thrill to hunt. I liked them. I shot them with single shot 410.
Yeah,
that's what I used.
Would you walk them up, or would you use a dog on
both. them? Both. Usually, the bush was so thick, you just go along until you see some, then get off and go get them up.
Yeah.
So, and I hunted at that time. Before I married my wife, I was hunting with a dachshund and a Labrador. And the dachshund just loved to hunt. I'd put her on the ground, and if I shot a grouse, she'd go stand on it until the Labrador got there to pick it up and bring it back. And that was always fun to watch.
Teamwork there.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So let's go back in time to the early days, because we want to talk about some of your championships that you won, but you said you kind of got good at calling ducks, and some of that was out of necessity, that if you were a better caller, you had a more likelihood that you were going to be successful. And I'm guessing the guys that hunted with you liked you to be a good caller. At what point did that turn into I think I'm going to compete. Did somebody suggest that you maybe ought to compete once? And was that championship like a local place? A local?
Well, they had the Missouri Open Duck Calling Championship that was held in the Kansas City area. I had to look at my sheet to make sure I had the correct name of it. And I went and competed in that when I was 17. And I also competed in the goose calling competition, Missouri Open Goose Calling Competition. And I won both of them when I was 17 years old.
That was kind of, how many competitors were in that?
Oh, man, there'd be 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have to qualify for it somehow, or did you just enter?
No, the Missouri Open at the time would qualify you to go to the World Championship. You had to win something, some local contest.
You had to win a regional?
Yeah, I had to win a regional to go to the World Championships down in Stuttgart, Arkansas.
Okay.
So that's kind of how that worked then.
So you won the state one.
Yes.
And when you were 17.
Uh-huh.
And then did you get to go to the national one then?
Went right down to the national one and won it too.
You won that same year?
Same year, yeah.
Wow. Had that ever been done before?
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, the first time out where somebody wins them both, that seems like that would be unlikely.
I can't answer that, to tell you the truth. I know I just loved calling ducks, and I loved competing.
So tell me a little bit about the competition. So you went up, I assume, on a stage of some sort and called, and then there were judges. How did that work? What was the criteria?
That's the way that worked, and they would judge you on. You had several different categories of calling. You had the high ball, the come on back, the feed chatter, all those different calls that the ducks make, and you were judged on each one of those. The callers now are, I think, a lot better than we were back then.
Okay.
You know, I'd hate to go up against these young guys now that do it.
So what's changed? The technology, or just
more energy into it. I think some of the present day calls aren't really as effective. I like a soft, you know, unless I was really out in the open. I liked a softer call and you know, just put a gentle touch on them and make them come on in once you.
Now, you had mentioned to me when we were chatting earlier before the interview started that a gentleman actually was making calls that was in your club.
Yes, that's correct.
And he would kind of special tune them to you. How did that work?
I'd take my calls to Don Dennis. He was the one that made the calls and would tune them for me. And he would get them just right. I started off tuning my own calls, but then he was so good at it, I just went to him.
Now, how do you tune a call?
You slip that reed in and out, or different things.
You get it to the right place and spot until it sounds right?
Yeah.
Really?
So
to somebody that's not, you know, and I never hunted a lot of ducks, so somebody that isn't familiar kind of with that world, there's a little stuff involved in it. It's not just buying something and going blowing it and calling ducks. It's
correct. It's it takes some work. I know back when we drive up to the duck club, a lot of times I would tape a duck call to the outside of the door handle so it would make noise all the way to the duck club, and it would limber up the reed. And
really?
We did that a few times. So whether that worked or not, I don't know, but we thought it did.
That sounds like one of them secrets that some guy came up with and said you got to strap it to your car. I never heard that before. So at 17 you kind of became the wonder boy in the calling world, or at least around the.
I sure enjoyed it up there in northwest Missouri.
So for several years you became the man to beat then, pretty much, in that whole. To a degree, yeah. When I would show up at other competitions,
They would check on who I was, and they weren't real happy. I know over throughout Missouri and Kansas that they said, why are you doing this? And I said, well, because I want to, because I have to win a local contest to go to Stuttgart to compete again.
But why ours?
Yeah,
Why our contest?
Yeah.
So you were kind of considered a ringer coming in.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you must have had somewhat of a reputation, though, built
Yes.
up in that world.
Yeah.
And so the Worlds, how many times did you win the World Championship?
I just won the World Championship once.
Okay.
And I tried to win the Champion of Champions a couple of times, and I did not succeed at that. That was, if you won the World Championship, you go back and you would compete against everybody else that had won the World Championship.
I gotcha.
And I was not lucky on that. But one of the reasons, I think, was I generally had a softer call, and when I won the World Championship was the last time it was held in a large auditorium inside.
Okay.
From then on, they went out to the street in Stuttgart, and they had the contest held outside.
So the acoustics were
Yeah,
a lot
acoustics
different.
were a blessing to me, and didn't help the other people. But when I went outside, I didn't have that ring.
So outside the hard callers would be a little more successful.
Yeah.
Interesting. And that was the Worlds always took place in Arkansas then? That
Yeah,
was the
Stuttgart,
day.
yeah.
Still there today, I
Yes.
presume?
Yes. I don't know if you saw it out there, but they built a wall a couple of years ago with everybody that had won the World Championship, and put a stone in it that had their name and date they won it on it. And they sent me a copy of the stone. So
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So down there in the wall, your name is
it's down there someplace.
is down there.
I'd like to get back
What
down
year
there.
was that again?
70. That was at 61.
1961. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Graduated from high school in 62, and went on from there.
Let's talk a little bit about upland hunting, because that's kind of
Okay.
you talked about when you grew up, you and your dad and some of your friends, that you did a little upland as well. As waterfowl was
Yes.
king, but
We had a lot of quail back then in Kansas, and pheasants, and so we would get out and do some waterfowl hunting. And it took me a few years after I got out of college to get my own lab and stuff like that. So I wasn't heavy into dogs until after I got out of school. My dad usually had one, but
yeah.
I like my labs.
So typically, you guys might hunt waterfowl in the morning and then
Yeah.
do upland pheasant hunting later in the day, or
Frequently, yes,
Okay, that was
did
kind
that.
of what
Yeah.
you did a lot.
Yeah.
So you went to school. Where'd you go to college?
Well, I graduated from Ole Miss.
Okay.
So,
What got you there?
well, it's kind of
A duck calling
No.
scholarship?
no, I wish, but no. My wife and I had gone to school, and we'd completed a number of hours in night school and summer schools and stuff like that. And I was living in Kansas City at the time and working. Had a bunch of friends there, and I knew I had to get out of town, or otherwise I'd be spending money and competing with my friends. So I had a bunch of buddies that went to Ole Miss, and my cousin was the doctor for the football team down there. So we went down there, and she was in school of education, and I was in business school.
Oh, okay.
So
That was a good experience. I
yeah,
take it.
yeah, very good, very good. I was in when Archie Manning was there. I was in class with him.
Really?
Yeah,
No kidding.
quite a gentleman. Quite a gentleman. So
So you got your education there in business, and
Yeah.
then what did you decide to do with that? Did you get?
believe it or not,
I mean, it sounds like you came back Kansas City area.
yeah, I came back to Kansas City area, moved out in the country in Kansas, and since I was 27 on, I've always been self-employed.
Okay.
And so I had a couple of hamburger joints. I had a trucking company, and best job I ever had, bar none, was my tourist camp in Canada. It was that was a blessing on me, and it really filled the bill on making me happy.
And we'll get into that a little deeper. It's so you get back and into the Kansas City area, you're still doing some upland and waterfowl. I mean, that's not going to change. The hunting's never going to be something that leaves you, it sounds like.
No.
And then at some point, you got a hunting dog. You got that first dog.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Oh, that was great. That was great. Buddy of mine, he said, well, actually, I had a couple out on the farm, a couple of labs, but I never had good luck with them for hunting. And then I was going to Canada to buy that fishing camp. And a buddy of mine said, I got a lab you need to take with you. And he gave me the smartest lab I've ever seen.
Okay.
That dog could do anything and everything. And she was good on upland game. She was excellent on waterfowl. And she just really filled the bill.
What was her name?
Jenny.
Jenny.
Yeah.
And you had her in Missouri for a while then?
In Kansas, yeah.
In Kansas?
Yeah.
Like you told me you were living in Spring Hill,
Yeah.
Kansas, and you had your dad owned some ground over there.
Yep.
Yeah, so you had kind of like that lake area, water areas, and then you had the upland opportunities as well.
Well, yes, I had a restaurant, a supper club in Leavenworth, Kansas, and I always arranged my time so I could go to the marsh during the week. I didn't like to hunt on the weekend because that was bumping up against all the other guys could go. So I went during the week and hunted on a marsh over in the Missouri side every day of the week till about 9 in the morning, and come into work.
Perfect world.
Yeah,
and
it was for me.
Jenny went with you, I presume?
Yep.
Yeah, she was in the blind?
Yeah, we had different dogs and
now
stuff like that.
Now you mentioned you had a setter at one point, or your dad did?
That was quite a while ago, and I was young. And to tell you the truth, I don't even remember the setter's name. It was an English setter, nice dog, but it gotten hit and by a car, and that kind of did that in.
Yeah, but that was one that you hunted over some, or at least,
a little bit. Yeah,
trailed along when your dad hunted it. Now we talked about pheasants. Do you remember that first pheasant at all? Do you remember taking your first pheasant?
Well, that would have probably been out on a farm out near Spring Hill, Kansas. As I mentioned earlier, the neighbor's dog always come down and wanted me to take it hunting. It was a poodle, and boy, it was a hunting fool though. And I would take it out hunting, and she was a good hunting dog, good pointing and good retrieving, and I found that most interesting. But we hunted all the time together out on the farm, and then I go into at the time I had a little trucking outfit and a hamburger joint.
Yeah.
So kept me busy.
I guess so. Hunt during the day and work in the evenings and whatever. Now, did you have a preference as far as quail and I'm talking about eating them, as far as quail or pheasants? Did you have a preference to the table bird, which one you liked the best, or it didn't
I don't
matter?
know. I kind of always generally I preferred the pheasant, but I wouldn't. We hunted a lot of doves too. Tremendous amount of doves back 50 years ago out in that area of Kansas. There are not so many there now. I got a buddy who still lives down there trying to hunt them.
Really?
And he can't. He gets a few, but not many, not like we used to get.
So Jenny, the lab, was that's really was the first gun dog that you had. That you owned.
Yeah.
What was your favorite when you look back at her and your favorite story? Does a story come to mind? Something that happened that she did while you were hunting with her?
Well, she just always knew what to do. I'd take her to Saskatchewan hunting. And the guides out there that we went with really liked to see me show up with a dog, because then they didn't have to chase the birds down. And she was always chasing the birds down.
Yeah.
She was a good dog. The only trouble I ever had with her is she always liked to go with me, liked to get in the boat and go fishing with me. But when I'd catch a walleye or something like that and then splash the water a little bit, she'd want to jump in and retrieve it. That was just her nature. But I finally got her to not do that.
Yeah, yeah. And it sounds like you had her several years.
Yes.
And then, kind of like all of us, you kind of rotate. You think, well, that's probably the last dog I'll ever have.
Right. And then you wind up getting
and then you
another
get
one.
another one.
Yeah.
And the cycle begins. And then do you tend to compare the new one with the one before? And
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's unfair to this one because the one I have now, Molly, she's not nearly as smart as Jenny was.
Yeah.
Jenny you could tell her to do something, and if she'd never done it before, she'd go do it. It was interesting.
They're all
interesting.
Kind of,
yeah.
I know from the dogs I've had, they're all personalities are different,
Yep.
and some of them pick up things faster than others as far as the training side of it and that kind of thing.
I always thought that lab I had, Jenny, I always thought she had a vocabulary of about 130 words. You could tell her different things to do and she would understand. And that was most interesting to me. Especially when my buddy that gave her to me would come up to my fishing and hunting camp and I'd tell her to do something and he said, "How did you get her to do that?" I said, "I just told her to do it."
Yeah. What was one of the favorite things, or what you would think would be a unique thing that you could tell her to go do, and she'd go do it?
My wife one day, Donna Lou, had a bunch of pots, the plastic pots you planted stuff in, up under our porch at our house right there on the waterfront. And she looked down at Jenny and said, "Jenny, go get me that pot." And that dog went up there and picked up that pot. She'd never done it before. She went up and brought her back out to her. And then she sent her back for the rest of them so she didn't have to crawl up there to get them. And then my buddy that gave her to me, one day, her collar was up in the bedroom. I was a two-story cabin we were staying in. And I looked at Jenny and I said, "Hey, Jenny, would you go up and get your collar?" She went up the stairs, picked up her collar, brought it back down. How'd you get her to do that? Well, she just knows. She's smart. So I said, "I guess you want her back, don't you?"
You want to see her put her own collar on?
Yeah. So anyway.
So she was very...
very intelligent dog, and I really enjoyed hunting with her. We would hunt out in the bush down these little old logging roads that hadn't been used in years, and the dachshund would ride in the front in a basket, and the Labrador sat on the back rack, and that's what we did for hunting.
So you mentioned, and we kind of scratched on it a little bit, but you ended up opening a camp up in Canada.
Yeah, Ontario.
How did that all happen, or how did that fall into your lap, so to speak, I guess? Or
I was just damn lucky. I'd had a heart attack, and I wasn't doing real well, and it was just after I took 3 years out of work, and then I did what I called my charity work. Worked for the Red Cross and did disaster services. I skied, snow skied and hauled bodies off the hill and all that kind of stuff. Taught handicapped people how to ski. I did that in west of Denver and then some down in Missouri also. Anyway, I was sitting out one fall with this buddy of mine, and I said, "Well, I think I've done enough charity work." And he said, "I know what you ought to do." He said, "You ought to go to Canada and buy a fishing camp." And this was in the fall, we're hunting ducks. And I got to mulling it over. I thought, that sounds like just a good idea. So I went up there in January, in the middle of winter, went and looked at different tourist camps and see what was for sale and what not. And the one I really liked wasn't for sale. And I looked at them, and they'd had all kinds of water trouble, getting water and they stayed there all winter.
Yeah, and the sense that water freezing up and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Anyway, so I said, you want to sell this camp? And they said, yeah. And they set a price, and I said, okay, we'll do that.
And this was where now? Where's it located?
This was Peralt Falls, Ontario, just south of Red Lake, Ontario, about 40 minutes.
How far from here?
From
Iowa?
14 hours from here.
14 hours.
Yeah.
And so what was the camp? What did it consist of? Multiple cabins? And...
Yeah, I had 12 cabins, 30 boats and motors, and just loved taking care of all of it. And
so you had to kind of be a jack of all trades. To keep everything running, and plumbing and electrical and all the.
Well, I'd been well exposed to it because I'd already had 30-some rental properties down in Kansas. So
okay.
You know,
you kind of been through that drill before.
Been through it, yeah.
And now, did you inherit then a kind of a client list of people that were coming, every year or two,
Yeah, it wasn't a real strong list. I did a couple of sports shows, and then I came up with an advertising angle, and I did sports shows for about 2 years, and from then on, I didn't have to do any more.
Yeah. So you'd
always kept the camp full. And some years I even opened camp a week before fishing season opened. They'd come up and, they'd catch northerns and stuff like that, but they couldn't catch walleye yet.
Okay. And now, did you live up there year round then?
No.
You just kind
of... my wife and I would stay up there until the snow started flying and we had to get out. And then we, all winter long, we lived in a travel trailer or a motor coach, depending on the year. We traveled everywhere from Florida to the Baja to Australia, New Zealand,
oh wow,
Fiji and Tahiti, and we just had a wonderful, wonderful winters.
And then when fall came, you'd head back to the...
We tried to get up there as soon as we thought we could get in the driveway. About a half mile back. And sometimes we didn't make it. We had to walk.
I'm guessing they get quite a bit of snow up there, probably.
Yeah, quite a bit. That's what we did on that. And I love being up there early spring, because we got to see all the waterfowl that was coming through, all the eagles, all the so on and so forth. It was just wonderful.
Now, most of the clients that came up there were fishing. They weren't hunting, I take it, or did you?
Correct. My money was made on walleye.
Okay.
Okay. I also guided moose hunters and bear hunters, and but my true money was made.
Bear hunters, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, did you enjoy that, or?
He who hauls the most garbage wins. Was always my saying. So.
Now, I have never hunted bears, but is that kind of where you bait them, kind of thing?
Yeah. In Ontario, you could bait.
Okay.
And so that's why the saying, "He who hauls the most garbage wins."
Yeah.
So.
But the moose are probably a little different situation, right?
Yeah. They were. Yeah.
I never cared to hunt anything that could hunt me back. I always had kind of a thing about that. But
I understand.
And it sounded like both of those probably could.
Yeah.
They could both be mean.
So anyway, but I enjoyed doing all of it. I had a bunch of wonderful people that come up in the fall, and we'd get 20 or 30 of us at a time, and we'd go out hunting grouse. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience.
When's the last time you hunted pheasant? Do you remember? Has it been a while?
Yes. With that gentleman right there that just came in, Chris Kenny, he took me a couple of times. He's taken me out duck hunting as I got older. I couldn't get around so good.
Yeah.
And then he took me out pheasant hunting a couple of times.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, and I don't do well on uneven ground anymore.
Yeah. I've got a knee issue as well, so it's kind of part of that. Take it for granted.
Yeah.
So getting through that timber up there in Ontario would probably be a little challenging these days.
I used to hunt with a couple local guys up there, and they were really tall, had real long legs. I was just going, trying to keep up.
What was hunting? I mean, hunting obviously played a very huge part of your life. I mean,
Yes,
from the
sure
time
did.
you were a young kid until even till now, and professionally doing the guiding and things. But what would that have been like not to have had those experiences? And I guess what do you think the younger generation now is missing out on because maybe they don't get that opportunity that you and I had?
A lot of these young people today are really hard hunters. They like to go out and they like to punch it real hard. But my main concern is that not a lot of them are exposed to it. There's some guys you come across the right guy and boy, he's out there ardently punching to hunt.
Yeah.
Even down here, we got this muskrat slough down here, and one thing and another, they'll go hunt it in different places.
But the kind of the key though is you kind of have to have that person that kind of takes you under
Yeah.
their wing and says,
You
Hey,
got to
look-
have somebody to show you the ropes,
Right.
so to speak.
"Well, isn't that true about everything that you
Yeah,
do?"
yeah,
But much more kind of in the outdoor kind of world. I had a granddad that was a hunter, and I'm like you, I was wasn't old enough to carry a gun, but I tagged
Right.
along and I watched the dogs do their thing, and and when the day came that I got to carry a gun, that was like a big
I remember
momentous occasion.
the time in my early 20s. I was working for somebody else. I won't mention names, but if it was a snow day, I would call in that I couldn't get out of my driveway, and then I'd drive 100 miles to go hunting. Back then, we hunted a lot of cottontails and enjoyed that too.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's kind of like everything else. A lot of the older guys that I talk to are either still trying to hunt, don't hunt quite as often, or don't hunt because physically are restricted.
right.
And and that kind of prevents them
Yeah, this,
from doing it. Now, duck blind, I suppose you could still set in one if you got into the blind.
yeah.
That's
Now-
kind of the great thing about duck hunting, right?
Yeah, I could probably get into the blind. Then I'd have to call Coonrod to come get me out of the blind. So,
Somebody else would have to carry the ducks out of there.
yeah. Oh yeah, I couldn't wait anymore. So that's
But
just part of it.
it sounds like there's not a lot you would change though in the past in your life
No.
with the hunting and the people that you've met along the way. And,
Yeah. My best part of my hunting was from when I was in my mid-40s until I was 60. And that was just such a wonderful time. It was, you appreciated it more as you got older, I think. And I know a lot of these young people appreciate it now, but a lot of them want to go shoot something. Well, I said, okay, whatever you want to go shoot, you can shoot, but you got to eat it. That was the deal.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, like I said, I know there's some opportunities for youth to kind of get some exposure to the outdoors and hunting and
Yeah.
fishing, but I think it still comes down to it. If you didn't grow up in it, it's really hard.
Right.
It's difficult to
I believe
find
that's
somebody.
correct.
If your granddad or your dad or your
Yeah.
uncle didn't take you, then I don't know how. Every once in a while, we get a chance to guide a youngster, a teenager that hasn't hunted behind dogs before, and that's always a treat for me, because typically when you're done, they're kind of fascinated
Yeah.
by the fact that dogs do the things that they do, and they get to see it, and you hope that along the way you hook one of them youngsters into spending more time and maybe making a lifetime.
I know for several years, I used to go down to Winterset and guide hunters down there.
Yeah.
And there was a group that always went down there and they needed somebody with good dogs and, that kind of stuff. And I'm real hard on gun safety, and I would always line them up, preach them. You know, that was just
Well,
me.
you don't
though.
get many second chances
No,
when it comes
no.
to making a mistake with a firearm. So
No, you don't.
So it's kind of one of those things. But you know, that's kind of like from the time I was 9 years old. I mean, I was preached to by Granddad and my
Oh,
dad
yeah.
about. That was the thing they drilled into me was gun safety and all those things.
Right.
And
I think that's
some of
very, very important. I used to, when I was down in Leavenworth, Kansas, I used to teach gun safety and safety courses up at Fort Leavenworth, and did that quite frequently.
for the local conservation
For the
department?
officers that were at Fort Leavenworth,
Oh, really?
their kids. If their kids wanted to go hunting, you had to have a hunter safety certificate.
Okay. Okay.
And so we taught, several of us taught hunter safety, and that's what we did.
Very cool. Yeah. Well,
So,
that's fun. That's a fun part
Yeah.
of seeing those the new faces
You
and the
bet.
new generation is going to be taking our place, hopefully.
right.
And hopefully, for me, I want to see people continue to hunt with dogs because that's
Right.
always
Oh,
been-
yeah.
that's my passion is the dog side of it. But
At one time, I got so bad about my hunting that I wouldn't hunt unless I had a dog to hunt over. And it took me a long time to get there because originally we didn't start off with retrieving dogs in the marsh and while duck hunting. I waited after them all the time.
okay,
So, but I think having a dog is such an asset.
well, and plus it's like having a partner,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
On those days you're by yourself, well, if it's you and your hunting dog, at least you're. I always said that the best shot I ever made and the worst shot I ever made was only witnessed by one other person, and not a person. It was
A dog,
it was
yeah.
a dog, and that was always. That's like I remember telling the dog one time over a bad shot. That stays with us. It stays in the field.
That Jenny that I had, when I'd miss a shot that was a put up, she'd turn around and look at me and give me the eyeball.
I did too. He'd kind of just give you
Yeah.
that glance, like you
Yeah.
gotta be kidding. But okay, and then go find another one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the fun part.
Yeah.
What so really, what is the hunting meant to you, and if you had to really describe it?
I think, I don't know whether I mentioned it earlier or not, but ever since I won so many duck calling competitions, I always wanted to figure out how to make a living using that. And I never did that until I was in my mid-40s and I bought the tourist camp up in Canada and I got to do all of it.
Okay.
And that fulfilled my life.
And you're talking about how you could make the outdoors
Work for me.
work for you and be
Yes.
something that you could do as a career
Yes.
versus just a hobby,
Right.
which I've been chasing for a long, long time, many years, how to take in. I started guiding, and of course, then you don't get rich, but at least
Yeah.
you get some.
Oh, but the satisfaction you get out of it.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just,
Well, and what getting the dogs exposed to the number of birds that they see that they wouldn't see otherwise, and that kind of thing. But you're right. Yeah, you found a way to make the outdoors
Yeah. And I think it's interesting that I'm just sitting out in the duck line with this buddy of mine. And he said, "Why don't you go to Canada and buy a fish camp?" And
yeah.
I finally started working that in my mind. And yeah, I think I'm going to do that.
Now, how many years has it been since you've had the camp? Then did you finally sell it at some point?
I had the camp for 15 years.
15 years.
When I got to 59, and then I stayed 2 years past that to help the new owners. My wife and I did. But my wife has had MS,
Oh, okay.
and I thought it was going to take me quite a few years to sell the camp that I had because it was so big. Well, the first year it sold. And I was kind of disappointed in that, but we stayed up there a couple of more years just to help them, give them pointers. I couldn't work there because I didn't have work permit, but I could give them pointers on how to do things.
So they just let you stay there then, kind of?
Yeah, I stayed there
Really?
We just had our travel trailer and had it hooked up down at the end. It wasn't anybody's way.
Yeah. And so if they had an issue or a problem, they had you to lean on. And, and that 2 years kind of helped you kind of pull away from the business? And,
yeah, I didn't like it, but I mean, I didn't like pulling away from that kind of business. But
and then you came back to Iowa then?
And then came back to Iowa, and I have children in California and New York, and my wife had kids and grandkids and great grandkids here in this part of Iowa. You know, Cedar Rapids, just over into Illinois and so on.
So it seemed like the perfect spot to be kind of in the middle of all the family.
Mm-hmm. So that's how I wound up back here. And then went down, hunted at the Duck Club down in Bigelow, Missouri for a number of years until I was about 65, and then I got AFib so bad. Took me out of the physical sports unless somebody was really going to babysit me.
Yeah. So you haven't done much of that kind of stuff then for
a few years, Yeah, that AFib just beats you up.
And you never know when that's going to come on. I had a good friend that had that issue. And
I'm on the second pacemaker and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but you're hanging in there. Right?
Yeah.
You're hanging in there.
So anyway.
Well, Pete, it's been a pleasure spending some time with you. You got some great history, some great stories. Have we touched on everything that you wanted to get in for the most part?
Well, one of the other exciting hunts that I used to do on a regular basis was dove hunting in Kansas. We used to have so many doves down there. We would go out and have more fun hunting doves, and you had your dog and everything. It was just that was a good fun hunt. They're fast, they're hard to hit, but it was an exciting hunt.
I imagine you were pretty good. Being a duck guy, I imagine you were pretty good at meeting a challenge on those doves. The reason I say that is I know that the guys I've hunted with in the past that were waterfowl guys that I've seen as clients at the gun club or whatever, you usually could just knock them down. I mean, they were great shots, which I enjoyed because it made it a lot easier for me and my dog, because when they dropped dead, and we weren't chasing cripples and trying to find down birds, and it's one of those things that you don't want to leave game in the field, and so it takes a little time and effort. So I always liked the duck guys that would hammer them, and they'd be dead in the sky, and the dog would go find them and bring them back, and then we'd keep going. But so I imagine you were pretty good at those doves as well. But they are fast and hard to hit.
At one time, I bought a supper club over in Brunswick, Missouri, which is right on the Missouri River. It was kind of funny. About 3 weeks before duck season started over there, I had all these trophies for my duck calling and everything, and I had a trophy shelf into my supper club. I put all my trophies out.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
To say the least, I got to go duck hunting over there in Brunswick, Missouri all the time.
Yeah? Your phone rang off the hook,
Oh, yeah. And now I hunted 5 days a week. I usually come in about 8 or 9.
Back in those sloughs off the river there? Right
Yeah. And these guys had a great big blind in this one slough that would keep about 10 hunters. Had 10 shooting spaces. And this one guy and I would hunt all the time together. finally I asked him one day, I said, oh, you know what I do. I'm a restaurant. I have that restaurant. What do you do anyway? And he said, you really don't know what I do you? I said, no. I said, I know your name's Daryl Knowles. And he said, yeah, but you don't know what I do? No. He said, I'm a retired professional baseball pitcher. He pitched for the A's all 7 games of the World Series. And his favorite thing to do to me in that duck blind was generally he and I out there hunting. His favorite thing to do to me while I was calling ducks, he'd sneak up behind me, grab my gun, and unload it.
Yeah.
Those, yeah.
No, did he live there in town then?
Yeah, he was from Brunswick, Missouri.
Really?
Yeah.
And so you didn't even know who the guy was?
I didn't even know. I was always hunting and working.
Daryl Knowles.
Daryl Knowles.
He was a pitcher.
Yeah.
Okay, that name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he was from there, and I think he's with Kansas City for a while, and then he was with one of those California teams.
How old a gentleman would he have been?
Well, let's see.
Say, if you're 80 now, what would you say he would probably
I would
be?
say he'd be right at 90.
Oh, okay.
A little bit older than I was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he had played in some World Series. He'd had some action back in the day.
He'd done some World Series playing and stuff like that.
I'm guessing everybody else in town knew who he was except you.
Except me. No, yeah. They wouldn't tell me. Nobody told me. And he was impressed that I befriended him and hunt with him and everything else when I didn't know who the hell he was.
Yeah, it wasn't about
So from then on, he'd come into my lounge in my supper club every day to give me a report on what was going on. But quite enjoyable hunting with all. You get to meet so many outdoorsmen in different situations, and it's just a pleasure to do it, you know.
There's something about sharing close quarters in a duck blind with somebody.
Yeah.
In the wee hours of the morning and into the daytime, and they're either wonderful people. I'm guessing the wrong guy in a duck blind can kind of be a.
Yeah, well, usually you can get them weeded out before you get there.
I'm not going into live with that guy.
Yeah.
Or he probably wouldn't make the cut of the club anyway, right?
Yeah.
This episode brought to you by way of our sponsors. Highland Hideaway Hunting Preserve in Riverside, Iowa. With over 1,500 acres of meticulously managed and maintained preserve. Book your hunt today at highlandhunting.com. And Interstate Grain Service. Family owned since 1981, we offer personalized service with product and feed knowledge. Competitive pricing on numerous brands, including Purina, Nutrina, Kinetic, and Diamond. Stop in today at our retail location off I-380 in Center Point, Iowa. And Kinetic Performance Dog Food. Kinetic's line of premium dry food and supplements provides clean, sustainable energy for everyday active, sporting, and working dogs. Visit kineticdogfood.com for details.